talk about assignment to forward behavior. I'm going to start off with just explaining kind of like my viewpoint on like writing reports. So the big thing about writing a report that I want to push is you do not write in the first person. You do not say I, we, any of that. You write it so it's in neutral language. And the reason for that is like, there's a couple of reasons. So I'll give an example. So this owner is owning a business where people are not wearing PPE, and you have to determine whether or not they should. But I'm going to go with, I'll just argue that they should, right? For simplicity's sake. So if you're arguing that you're supposed to, and this owner isn't, how is that going to make him feel, right? Like you're saying that he's not like a responsible owner, right? So you don't want to say, I believe you're an irresponsible owner. Like instantly the person is going like, this is your boss as well. Or like you're a contractor, like you're just going to be in conflict with this person right off the bat. So if you just stick to the facts and use the facts to make recommendations, it's a lot harder for that person to be angry at you, the OHSP, right? So you are the OHSP in this case, you're not John. Like in this, like I'll give an example in this case as well. I am John, your instructor. I highly doubt you care about me as a person. You care about me in the role of instructor, right? So if I mark your assignments or I'm doing anything in that role, I am the instructor, right? I am not some guy with opinions, like, right? Like maybe I am, maybe I'm not, but you don't need to know that, right? And it's kind of the same, like from a professional standpoint of that, right? Is like whenever you have an issue, you want to be outside of the issue and hopefully not directly involved, especially emotionally or anything like that. So you don't say like, I believe, or like any of that kind of talk in a paper. It's not, it'll make it harder for you to sell your case, especially if you're working at a smaller company and you're pointing out a lot of stuff that's wrong with the organization. Unless they want to change it right now, you're going to have to use more neutral language, right? So I believe talking about your past in a document, like these documents that you're writing could be used in a court later, right? And then somebody's reading it out, like I believe in all this stuff. Like this is not what you want to do. And even then, if 5 years later someone's looking at the document, they want to know the role the person wrote the paper or was doing research and trying to figure out the problem, not you as an individual. Again, like they don't care that it's John that wrote the paper, right? They care about like what my findings were and what I based them on. So that's kind of enough ranting about that. So like just keep that in context. You want to be removed from the situation. Like you don't want to be in the issue.
Don't waste your time.
Just because this assignment, I kind of did it. Some people are taking organizational behavior in the middle of the program. Some are taking it at the start of the program, and some are taking it as the last course. So there's pros and cons to all those situations. So I'm just going to talk to you real quick is diatomaceous earth has silica in it. So it can form silicosis, which is like kind of like what asbestos does to the lungs, is like scarring of the lungs. So look up silicosis. I'm not saying that the guys using the bags are going to develop silicosis or not. That's kind of like the assignment, like try and figure it out for yourself. There's the big thing then is kind of my first intro thing I was talking about is, do you have proof that they're supposed to wear respirators? So respirators aren't free. Like it costs money to wear them. If you're working outside in the sun, I'm thinking like if you're working south of Regina in the summertime, how hot it is, and then you're putting on a respirator on a person, they may or may not want to wear that, right? So like you really have to make sure that it's required and what's best practice. Just telling somebody, yeah, it'll help you probably isn't the best. Other big thing is like, I mean, people smoke and they know that in long term it can cause illness. But it's like 10 to 20 years or longer before the scarring like becomes really noticeable and you have those issues. So like I said before, the CCOH has a lot of details, so you can look into silicosis. it tells us in the regulations. So I'll just pull this up right quick. So if you go Control F, that's how you do the search. So the grain bin cleaning would be abrasive blasting, right? So you can look through, there's 46 references to silica. So got to read that, find out what the current state is, kind of what's going on. Do you need to have a respirator or not? If you haven't been exposed to this a lot, there's, so this section definitely would be good to look at. So 24-6, so again, you just go Control F and you can start seeing where it is. So this is the silica section. There's tables towards the back here. I'm just scrolling along. They'll have more information about silica. And this kind of, I'll be honest, is very similar to some of the stuff I did in my job. We had a paint booth. The guys weren't wearing the right breathing equipment. I had to make up like a case for why they had to do this. It wasn't very difficult to like making up. It's in the regulations. But if people don't know this, especially like you think about the brewery worker, he might have been working there like 25 years, and now you're telling this guy, hey, like the stuff you've been working with might have damaged your lungs, they might get really defensive, right? So so take a look. It'll be in here too, the guidelines. It'll tell the limits as well. So one thing you might need to do at the brewery is have the air tested to see how much silica is in the air, to see if the respirator is required. A lot of breweries in Saskatchewan are a member of the Safety Association of Saskatchewan Manufacturers. People are less aware of this organization. They do fit test training, and they also will do indoor air quality testing. So they'll come and put a dose meter on the worker to see how much of the compound is going inside. And yeah, they can test for a bunch of different particulates. But start is that you pay these guys, I think it was like $500 or $800. They come, excuse me, and they do the air quality testing, and then you kind of know where your baseline is, and then you can go from there. So not giving you the answers, but those are some ideas I definitely would have, is thinking about is like what's the current state, especially at the brewery. So like to get the air quality test, and then once you get the air quality test, you can assume that it's quite high, and that would be fine. You can assume it is high or assume it's low. You can write your reasoning behind that. But yeah, from my experience, it was really hard getting people to start wearing the respirators, and then once they did, it was kind of became like normal.